Welcome, students, to your third Sibelius notation assignment. This assignment is the wind quintet, and you will want to read these directions very carefully because we are going to work from reference parts, not from a score. And it's an old French edition, and old French editions are rather notorious for having errors. And so I have a list of them here and I'll go through them with you, but you will definitely forget. And then you'll wonder why things don't work. So you'll very much want to come back to this right here and check these errors out as you get into the assignment. I'm going to force myself to stay on just my laptop screen for this. So a few reminders. There's the YouTube playlist of my curated Sibelius tutorials. This is the Avid Sibelius Quick Tips. Fantastic resource there. You also have the shortcuts and the shortcut reference document that I've created. You should have that physically with you as well. It's also in the Canvas module. These are the different tools you'll be using across all the assignments. So we have that. And then, of course, we have the tool descriptions and menu paths in the assignment relative to the assignment that you're working on. Of all the assignments, this will be the most involved in that it'll require you to use all the tools you've used so far, and then also a few more tools. So you want to leave a fair amount of time for this one. Let me read through it and then we'll kind of jump into it. So for this assignment, you're going to create a score from individual wind quintet parts. And then, of course, you will in turn have new parts that come out of that score that you build. You're going to reproduce only the first 18 measures. And there's a double bar line you'll see at the undentino marking. That's where you're going to want to stop. Even though you see more in the reference parts, don't do more than that. This is going to look very, very different. So even though we're doing essentially transcription or replication work, this is going to look very different as a final project, as a final product. So don't worry about that because what we create is going to be in line with current editing practices, and that is great. You're going to submit the score and the 5 parts. They'll all be in one document, one PDF. So that's great. And as I just said, you're reading an old French edition. So there's a rhythmic error in the flute and clarinet. You really need to know that because if you look at the reference score and you attempt to put in what's there, you'll always be 1/8 note wrong. So there's an error there. Let's see. Quarter rests look a little bit different. I'll show you that. Flute part. There's some different beaming that the notation software is going to give you. That's great. Just take that beaming. It's, again, represents current editing practices. Don't worry about slanting the dynamics. You'll see that I'll show that to you. Hautbois oboe. And in the tempo marking, the unit of time should be a dotted quarter. It says quarter in the reference scores we're looking at. Okay, so let me go ahead and split my screen up here. And I'm going to open up Sibelius so you can see exactly what it looks like when I open mine. So set up the score in the quick start, which is right here. We're going to go back to those chamber templates, and we're looking for a woodwind quintet, which is actually not an entirely accurate term. It's actually a wind quintet, but we'll accept it. Remember just to single click this. If you double click, something different happens. Okay. We are going to do this one in landscape as well. We'll do this in landscape as well. Tempo. I need to scroll down here. So our tempo indications are, oh, here's our key, which is for flute. We're going to look, hang on a second. Let me do this one step at a time here. Okay, so our time signature is 6/8. There we go. There's no pickup bar. Next, our tempo indications. Okay, so this is andantino con moto. We always indicate a metronome mark for our musicians. This is an error in the reference score. It needs to be a dotted quarter. So we select the quarter and then we go back and select the dot. We say that again, select the quarter and then go back a second time and select the dot. And our tempo indication, that's my chair making a noise, by the way. Just want to be very clear on that point, is 50. Now, a wind quintet has two transposing instruments, the clarinet and the French horn. And so in determining our key, we have to look at non-transposing instruments. So that's flute and oboe and bassoon. If that whole string of sentences just blew your mind, don't worry. You'll get into it in scoring and arranging, transposing instruments. You'll understand it better there. But we just want to refer to non-transposing instruments, which in this case, the flute serves that purpose. Remember, we have no key signatures, major, major, minor, minor. So we're going to be in a major sharp key, and we are in the key of A right here. Key of A. All right. Go with the title as I give it to you. Don't worry about it matching so perfectly with what is in the reference score. So the title is Aubade. The composer is Adrian Bart. Again, go with what I give you here. Don't worry that it looks a little bit different. We can get rid of that copyright. We don't need a title page. We don't need a lyricist. And now we're ready to create. All right. Now let's go back to the assignment. Snap this over. And as a reminder, we are only going to do 18 measures, only 18 measures. So here's my keypad. I'm going to move this out of the way. And I'm going to change my zoom so I actually delete the correct amount of measures this time. Okay. And we're at 15 there. We're only doing 18, so we're going to delete from 15, 16, 17, 18. So deleting from here. So select that measure, click and hold Shift, select the last measure. Hopefully you remember where this is. Under the home menu, delete bars right here. Let me open this up in case it looks a little bit different for you, depending on how you're watching this video. Delete measures right here. So again, watch out for these. In the third measure is where we're going to have our first rhythmic air. So just be really mindful of that. Okay, so set up the score. In the quick start, we did this. We're using landscape. We got the tempo. We got the key signature. This all looks great. So once we get inside the score, we've got the arranger information. Let's go ahead and yes, go continue editing. And let's put, oh gosh, here we go. We're going to put your name here. So we're going to say transcribed by your name. Easy. What else do I want us to do? As a reminder, never delete the words full score from the full score. That's what Sibelius calls a wild card. And so we want to keep that in there. Okay, we deleted the unneeded measures. Okay, we need to put the score into transposition. So because we're just transcribing from transposed parts instead of working in concert pitch, we need to do transcribed parts. So right now what you're seeing is 5 instruments that are in concert pitch, but clarinet and horn are transcribing instruments. And when we look at the reference score, we'll see clarinet in A, which is, it looks like it's in C major. In the score, we have clarinet in B flat, looking like it's in A major. And in the score, we have horn in re or D. And in this part, we have it in F. So because we're doing direct transcription and we're not like composing and playing it, working from a piano, we need to actually have these transcribed as well. You can't just change the key signature because again, this has functionality in the MIDI playback. So we actually need to transpose it so the MIDI is correct. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense. If it kind of blew your mind, it'll make more sense as you continue with your education here. Well, first we need to put our score into transposing score. So we're going to click on the home menu and the instruments sub menu. I need to make this bigger. So home menu, instruments sub menu right here. And there we can see transposing score. Okay. You're like, but those are still the wrong keys. Yes, they are still the wrong keys. But now we've got it transposing. And so now we can change the transposition of those instruments. Just as a reminder, remember, we have this catch-all of tools over in the plugins. And there are so many different things over here. So many different things. Okay, so now we need to change out our instruments. So we need to change clarinet and B flat to clarinet in A. So we're going to go back to the home and the instruments submenu and then add or remove. So back to home menu, instruments submenu, right here, add or remove. And this is going to bring up a dialog box where you can see all instruments. I want to point out that right now, if we were to drop down any of these, we would see common instruments. If you put in all instruments, there's so many more. So we'll just let it stay on common instruments, and we need to fix the clarinet first. So that's a woodwind. So there's that arrow. That means there's a drop down. And we need clarinet in A. Just double click, and it puts it in right here, which is great. That's the correct score order. We don't need that clarinet in B flat. Select that and come over here, delete it from the score. Yes, I do really want to do that. All right, and then we have to fix this horn in F. So come back over here, and we're going to drop down brass. And we don't see it here. Okay, well, what if we click on all instruments? Let's go back to the brass. And there it is, horn in re, as in do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. Horn in D, re is D. That's what we want. You can just double click on it. Grab that horn in F. We don't want horn in F. Delete that from the score. But we need to keep this in score order. You don't know when quintet score order, but the horn needs to be above the bassoon. So select that horn, come right here to our center controls, go up. And now we've got a flute, oboe, clarinet in A, horn in D, and bassoon. And now our score is matching our reference score. We've got a flute in the key of A, an oboe in the key of A, a clarinet in A in the key of C, and a horn in D in the key of C, and then bassoon. All right. Okay, we also are going to go ahead. This is grouped together with high winds, brass, and bassoon. And so the bar lines go all the way through. And just as a reminder, I want to show you how we can break all those bar lines. So you select the bar line, and then you can just drag it up, and that breaks it. Okay, so break the bar line, we did that. Extend the grand staff. So here's our grand staff. And we're going to have it just go all the way down. Just drag it down. Very nice. And if for some reason your copyright still came through, go ahead and just grab it and delete it. Okay. Okay, so now we're going back and we're just inputting notes. And at this point, you know how to do the note input, you know how to change the octaves, you know how to use dynamics, accessing the expressive text tool, you know how to do rests, but I need to show you something in the rests, which is as you look at the score, look right here. It looks like there's eighth rests and backwards eighth rests. In French editions, this first one right here, that's an eighth rest. The one that looks like a backwards eighth rest is a quarter rest. Now let's talk about the organization of rests. Typically, in good editing, organization of rests will preserve the large beats and how the rests are indicated in groupings. In this French edition, they have them broken down into different units. So when you do these rests, just go ahead and give it, accept the way that Sibelius gives it to you. So, for example, this first note on the flute, it's a quarter note and it's a high E. Oh, let's go to note input. Have to remember to do this. I definitely just clicked on the wrong thing. To make this fair. Okay. Input notes. First note was a high E. This will adjust here, don't worry. Okay, there we have her. And we can always just leave here, grab that, and move it. Okay. And then the next note you see is a B. Now, you could come in here and micromanage how these rests are grouped. Don't. Just take it the way Sibelius gives it to you. Okay. And so it does an eighth rest and then a dotted quarter eighth rest. And that's good. That's what musicians are used to seeing. This breakdown of rests right here it's an older style of editing. So we're not going to worry about that. We're not going to try and match that. Here we go. Right here, this is the first rhythmic air. This needs to be a dotted quarter on a G. So I just want to get this in here right now with you because I'm going to kind of zoom through inputting notes. Now, you're wondering, you're like, oh, there's a trill and there's grace notes. Yes, let's spend some time putting notes in, and then I'll show you how to do the trill and the grace notes. Okay, so let's just put in our basic notes, get that going, and then we'll come back and learn some of those newer tools. All right, so I'm gonna start inputting my notes. Good reminder for me how this experience is for you. Double sharps all the way over here on the accidentals. Here's our double sharp. All right. So that was how you did it for Mata. If you caught that, it's over here under the articulations. They consider a fermata articulation because it's attached to a note. A note head is similar to staccato, agogic marcato, things like that. All right. So pause where you're at. I want to just show you how to do remind you and show you how to do new tools. So first, reminder, how to access our dynamics. Control E gets us to our expression tool, and then we can just type in the letter of the dynamic. We can come over to our next one. Control E, there's our forte. Next note. And then piano. Then the crescendo and decrescendo. Let's just remind ourselves how we're doing that. That is going to be under our notations. And we'll select the first note, hold your shift down, select the note where you need the crescendo or decrescendo to end. You can do that. Remember, you can edit and move that around once it's in. This is not what's indicated, but just as a reminder. So select the note where the crescendo decrescendo starts. Click and hold shift. Go to the last note, that decrescendo. Okay. Also, since we're over here in notations and lines, remember there's a big drop down and there are so many things here. First and second endings, changes in tempo, 8VA, including our trill friend right here. So let us do that next. Here's our trill. Let me do that again because we want to make sure we have the right note selected. So we have a trill. Let me go back just make sure. Okay, yeah, it's on that G. So we select the note. Here's our lines. Grab that trill. There it is. Let me zoom in here so we can see a little more detail. That's a bit smaller. This is called a tail or trill extension. Not really a tail, a trill extension. go ahead and just accept the way that Sibelius gives it to you. It's not that important to do a much longer trill extension. And there you go. So you can see right there, there's that box. You see how you can change your trill extension right there. But it's defaulting to a short extension because it's only a dotted quarter. And so it's seeing the placement of that 16th and adjusting accordingly. But I wanted to show you that you could change that, the extension right there. But it's not necessary. You just accept the way Sibelius gives it to you. That's great. Okay, and then we have these grace notes. Now, let's go back up and look. I'm kind of jumping ahead. I don't want to miss anything. Okay, articulations. We actually went through this in the previous assignment, but I'll show it to you again. Like here's if you have the staccato or marcato, anything like that, you just can add it to the note. If you need to add it to more notes, go ahead and do that shift and hold, select all the notes that need whatever marking, and that works. Let's see. Grace notes. This is where I want to go to next. Okay, so grace notes. On the keypad, under more notes, there's an appoggiatura button. That's accacciatura, and this is appoggiatura or grace note. And that's what we're going to use right here. And we have to select the note length. So we have to go back to that common. And there's 16th notes in the reference score. But it's like a triple whammy because there's 16th notes. You're not going to see it very well on your screen, but that first 16th grace note is a double sharp. Okay. So we need to have the 16th note selected. We need to have the appoggiatura or grace note selected. And then we also need to have the double sharp selected, which is right. Yeah, sorry, the double sharp. Where's my X? There it is. Okay. And sometimes to get these little notes attached, you do really have to zoom in. And it is an F and then it's a G. And so we're going to like slide it in there. Sometimes you have to like literally zoom in to get it to add it. But there it is. Yeah, Sibelius may not permit you to place grace notes before the bar line, as you see in the scores provided. I'm right here in the assignment. Go ahead and place the grace notes in the same measure as the note to which they are attached. You do not need to add a slur to the grace note. All right, we need to add some rehearsal marks. There's only one included in this project. 12 measures in, we need to add a rehearsal mark. Select the measure where it will be placed. It's going to go right there. Go to the text menu right here, and then rehearsal marks. And then you can drop down to see your different options. We're going to do consecutive rehearsal marks because they will happen in order. And it drops the A. It's not going to look the same as the reference score. That's okay. That's okay. The way this works is that when you had a follow-on rehearsal mark, it'll do it automatically. So this is not in the assignment, but just to demonstrate it to you, let's say we needed another rehearsal mark here. We could just click that and it automatically will add the follow-on rehearsal mark. Okay, so that's not in your score. I just wanted to show you how that works. And then fermata, we did this before. And there's the fermata over the rests. These are it got put over all of these rests because once one instrument has a fermata, all instruments must have a fermata. But as you fill these measures, it'll end up moving that fermata so you can place it in the right place or just delete those for now. Okay, how do we do? Let me just go through here, make sure I showed you everything. All right. Again, watch out for these errata. That clarinet part is also going to have an error to the rhythm in the third measure. Rests are going to look different. Don't worry about it. There's a beaming, changes to beaming. Again, with beaming over or under note heads, just leave it. Take it the way Sibelius gives it to you. Don't slant the dynamics as you put them in. Let's see. We set up the score, we got into the score, we did all this good stuff. We did dynamics, we did rests, articulations, trill and trill extension, rallentando, rallentando. Okay. Where do I see the rallentando? Ah, at the very end, third measure from the end, we have a rallentando that we need to attach. Let's take a look. So this is going to be under notations. You might vaguely remember seeing this under our lines menu. And then there's just so many things on here, including changes to tempo. And there's the rallentando. So select the measure, go to notations, drop down your lines. We're looking for the tempo alterations, rallentando, and there it is. It's above the staff right here because you're working in a score. When you extract, it will be in all of your parts. Okay. Beams, as I said, don't worry too much about beams changing. Yeah. But like right here, let me show this to you. In the score, the beams go underneath these rests, which does, I think, tend to look better. But we'll go ahead and show you. So you'll select these notes right here. So select the first one, hold shift, select the last one, go to the notations menu, and then we want the beams sub menu, and it's right here, over rests, over rests. So that was under notations, beams, over rests. Let me show that to you again. We're going to select, oh, it did it automatic. Oh, it looks like it did the whole document. That's great. Okay. Let me show it to you again though. So this is how it was originally put in. Select the first note, click and hold shift. Select the last note. Go to notations. Find the beams submenu. And we want it to go over the rests or over rests. And that changes your beaming to look more similar to the reference score. We did the grace notes. We're not going to worry about slurring the grace notes. We've done rehearsal marks. We've done fermata. Okay, now I want to show you how to do the parts. So I'm just going to do a very quick cut, copy and paste, just so that the parts look like they have something in them. You will have all the correct notes in yours, but I just want to, just to be able to show you everything that's happening. So where are our parts? They're over here. You see where it says full score? Come all the way over to the plus sign. Gives you a drop down. Let's take a look at this flute part. Great. So again, things to look for. Make sure we don't want anything touching, right? If this was somehow over that, it warns you. Sibelius is really, it really is so far superior to Finale in this regard. It's way more intelligent as it pulls things from the score. There's a rehearsal marks. There's the Rollentown. Oh, I must have attached Rollentown in the wrong place. Go ahead and just delete that one, or I'm deleting that one. Here's our multi-measure rests. If you're like, wait, how did that happen? Remember, if you have 2 or more rests, you want to do the multi-measure rests. And multi-measure rests right here. You can show them or you can break them. We always want to, in the parts only, we always want to show those multi-measure rests. And then remember, you want to go in, you want to look at every single one of these parts. Again, yours will be filled out with music. Just look at everything, make sure everything looks really nice. Think about how you expect to see music. If you need to move things or add lines, go ahead and do that. So when I went to look at the horn part, clicked on it and nothing came up. And so I went to the reference materials. This is the Sibelius reference guide. And it says, essentially, if you need to create a new part because it didn't show up, it gives you the instructions right here. Parts and scores, subsets. new. So let me show you to create a new dynamic part. So for whatever reason, the transposing instruments didn't create the part automatically. So it looks like this. Here's like bassoon. I said flute, oboe, bassoon, and then when you do clarinet, wasn't there. When you do horn, it wasn't there. So come up here. We're in the parts menu, new. And we are going to create a new clarinet in A part. So I double clicked, click OK, and there it is. We're going to do this with horn as well. So new, oops, a new horn part, create new part. Okay, there it is. So if that happens, if your transposing instruments don't show up when you open up the parts, that's how you do it. You'll come over here to new, and you're going to create double click so that it shows up in this right-hand side, includes staves, and then it'll create a new part. Okay. And then let's go ahead and get rid of these ones that we don't need. This, okay. And now we've got all our parts. Again, mine's all wonky because I just wanted to quickly get you through all the tools that you'll be using. So now we're ready to export your score and your parts when everything is edited and looking wonderful. So come up to File, and we're going to export into a PDF. And we're going to do the score and all parts in one file. We're going to give it a file name. We're going to make sure that's going where we want it to go. Then we'll export it. Then we'll double check its location. And there's our parts. Well, everything's there. Looks good. And that is what you will upload to the submission folder. Let's look at that assignment again. So you're doing 18 measures of a wind quintet, setting up the score, getting inside the score. We have some weird things with the French edition. Don't worry about the slurs on the grace notes. We've got some new tools here. Edit those parts and then export it and upload it. And then you're done with the third Sibelius assignment. As always, good luck.